And we're live. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Everything Health, Healing, and Beyond. I'm Lisa from Florida, and I have Nicola Russell with me today from the United Kingdom. And Nicola has such amazing wisdom to share with everybody. Nicola was my mentor and still is when my light language came in. And she was such an amazing help and coach to help me navigate these energies that were coming in and how to utilize my gifts to my best abilities. And I'm going to have Nicola share. But first I wanted to, let me have you share first, and then I'll bring in what I was going to say about the emotions that have been coming up, that some things that have happened to me emotionally that I was able to break through in the past 2 weeks. So let me start with you and then I'll bridge into that. So welcome, Nicola.
Thank you very much for inviting me on to have this conversation and sort of introducing me to everybody. And it's been an absolute pleasure to work with you, because I knew from the very beginning when we first met, when the synchronicities sort of brought us together, that it was a soul-to-soul connection that we had. So I knew that you had many gifts. So so thank you for sort of presenting me like that. So it was my pleasure to get you to that sort of point. Well, it's not me getting to that point, it's just sort of me just sort of guiding through a process, but you ultimately did it all yourself. So so know that. So I'm Nicola Russell. I'm just about an hour away from London. So I'm in the southeast of England. And so I would call myself a quantum energy and sound healer. And the sound that I use is that of the voice. So it might be through toning, light language, sort of different dialects. It might be sort of quite clicky. It might, all of these different dialects that we can sort of bring in as we start to really open up to who we are. So again, like yourself, I do mentoring and healing. So I absolutely just love the whole process. It's just my whole...
So fulfilling, very fulfilling.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when you are of service to others, you heal yourself through that process.
Yes.
But it's really important for those that are sort of like listening to this broadcast is that it starts from inside of yourself, and it is a continuous cycle of going in to do those inner work, those inner clearings that then provide us with an integration of a higher knowing. So you have to let go of something to bring something new in. So I'm always getting that sort of, there's that sense of letting go and then bringing it in. So for every time that you let go of those emotions that are being shown to yourself, just know that there is always going to be that gift to replace that density. It's just creating a little bit of space, really, isn't it? So that you can then bring in more light in that cycle. So and to expand into a greater understanding.
Yes, and what I've noticed with that, when these things do come up for people, sometimes they're afraid to face it because the fear of the unknown. They don't know what's going to happen, and it's easier to stay in that doubt and not move forward. And when we don't do that, especially now with what's happening, it just keeps coming back stronger and stronger until we're like, okay, God or source, creator, or whoever you're speaking to, I have to let go now, and sometimes, it gets to that rock bottom place before, but knowing, like you said, there's greatness on the other side, and we're being held, we're being cradled with these energies right now to help us through it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really important to know that sometimes is what happens as we're sort of raising up through in our awareness, which we would call ascension, is that sometimes we get a fear or a block that comes up, that we have an objection or we judge something that's coming in. So sometimes codes come in and it may make some people feel a little bit uneasy. It's showing within you, the light is showing within you when we speak the light language, that is something that needs to come up. And it's the letting go of that emotion that's being shown, that a little bit of fear might come forward. You're like, oh, I don't know if I like that language stuff. You know, what's that all about? It's the misunderstandings that you have from your perspective of seeing the distortion, which is the emotion of fear, that's actually blocking you from seeing the light of the expression. So light language is absolutely a soul communication. It's tapping into the subconscious mind of the individual and awakening that up to come forward into the conscious mind. So the bombardment of all of the energies that are coming in from planetary systems, as well as us assisting with transmissions, it's enabling you with all these synchronicities to bring all of these sort of codes forward, is to assist you to see the distortion in front of you, to then let that go, and then underneath all that, the next layer of understanding then comes forward. So it's really important to see what it is and how you react to other people, and then you then reflect that back at yourself to say, okay, it's not fear of the light language or whatever that's been presented. It's the fear that is held within inside of myself that is now being shown, and that is the distortion that will actually be released, as I just said, to enable you to move forward. So it's a bit of a misconception, a misunderstanding by some people in the beginning of their journey. So I just really wanted to sort of put that out there for people, because we do fear things that we don't know about. Yes. So it's good to have that real foundational information that if you feel fear, it's your fear, and that needs to be cleared.
Yes. Can you explain to our audience why now it's more important than ever to clear these emotions, and why these things are coming to our forefront so clearly now?
So as the Earth's vibration has risen through this linear timeline, so we're on a linear timeline of this physical reality, the world has increased her frequency of light, the photonic light that's actually in the grid work system. So if you could imagine, you could even call it a holographic system, or however you want to sort of say it, this physical reality. And so everybody's actually rising up. Everything is just rising in vibration. So it's just literally a natural process that if something's been shown because you're sitting on it, you need to raise in your vibration at the same time. Now, whether you're conscious of the fact that everything is actually evolving on the earth, or whether you're subconsciously understanding, from that perspective, if you're being shown these emotions, you can play the game, as I always say, that it's like we're playing a game. You play the game of emotional states from a human perspective, or you consciously say, okay, I see what I hold as a distortion, and I'm going to let that go. I'm going to let that go. And that process of letting go of your emotions, energetically release it from your system. So if you sort of wind that back a little bit, is that the emotion is energy. Everything's energetic, whether it's in form or whether it's in flow. If you can see emotions that you hold within yourself as energy of a dense vibration, the vibration of that energy, that's emotion, needs to be let go of out of your energetic field, which then helps you move forward more into your bliss. Our natural state as a human being, without suppression, is joy and bliss and peace, and that sense of harmony and oneness. But the distortion of suppression throughout the ages, and sort of outward sources of sort of media and programming of mindset, has repressed us into those lower density emotional states. And indeed, they need to be experienced, because that's why we came here in the first place, to experience emotions. Because as you raise up into higher levels of consciousness, there isn't that emotional state to actually tap into, because the vibration's too high. Yes. So we deep dive down into this to experience, all of these emotions. But if we come back and we don't learn our lessons when we come in for another incarnate, then we need to sort of let go of that emotion. And if we talk about sort of quantum field, it's through all time and space. So when we do an energy healing, that we look at it through all time and space. It's not just in the physical body or the energetic bodies. It's not just within the energetic field. You have to go back into sort of different lines. There's so many layers within energy healing itself, because you can start tapping into ancestral lines, into into past life connections, into future potentials and possibilities. But it's focusing on the now. It's in the now moment. That quantum field energy flow needs to be adjusted throughout all the time and space. So it's quite interesting, isn't it? Is that we sometimes we perceive everything to just be in this reality, but there is so much goes on in different dimensions. And the planets affecting us, and how Gaia is sort of raising up, and how that affects us, and and all that sort of goes on. That it's quite complex in the beginning to actually really sort of identify what is actually happening out there. But the more that you release all those emotions, the more that you actually tap in and go like, God, just understand that just a little bit deeper. And we just refine it all the time. We just refine our understanding of who we are. And we're just these amazing sovereign beings of light, just with several layers of distortion. And once you release those emotions, you start seeing who you totally are and why you're here in the first place.
Yes, and that's been happening in my journey. And you were the first one that I reached out to say, oh my gosh, what's happening here? And, you really assisted me to move, like I said, to alchemize these energies and to move through it. And what I've noticed with what you were just saying, I've always have always been on the path of clearing what isn't working for me. That's just, my Leo, Virgo, who I am. I'm going to get it done and I'm going to figure it out. So now when I started clearing, when the light language came in, well, all these years I was clearing all these things. If it wasn't working, I don't like sitting in it. I like letting it go. And I always like when you said before, one of the sayings that I have is I am always letting go. Always. I am always letting go. And once, these shifts started happening since lockdown last year, I felt like I had a mission that I needed to do, right? As you, and this is our calling. And as you were just talking about, as these distortions lessen, because, with myself, I'm letting go of the things that aren't working, more clarity is coming in. And with that clarity, my eyes are seeing differently, situations, circumstances, more present, no time and space, being in the 0 point. But even looking outside, like I'm looking outside now, the colors are brighter and greener. The connection with nature is more of a oneness, even with bugs, right? Butterflies. It's it's more, it's like, look at the bug. Oh, little lizards. It's like, oh, hi, lizard. But it's that connection, like you said, because it's so multi-dimensional and there's just so much to it. It's that connection. And even the clarity, looking up in the sky, you can see movement. You can see orbs, and you can see, this is my perspective and what I'm saying, ships or whatever it is there, but it's at a different frequency. And like when I was speaking about when I close my eyes, I'm seeing lights, I'm seeing vibrant colors. The sun grounds me, and there's just so much. That veil is thinning. And we are moving and moving up through that higher space of consciousness every day.
Definitely. It's beautiful to hear all that you're saying, and I absolutely concur in that. Absolutely, what you're saying is what I experience myself, and as you drop that veil, as you start to do that inner work, it enables you to start tapping into those higher levels. Because if you've got a vibration of a different reality, say we say another dimension, or however you want to see it, as you start to rise up, you start to tap into that as it starts to come up. As you break through that veil, then you see what's above it. So we can evolve as a human through all different levels. So if we look at it, as I always sort of say about it on my YouTube, is that we say that we have a bandwidth of energy frequency here, which we tap into. So the 3D reality, we might sort of see it as energetic. We tap into that reality. But then as we're going into the fourth dimension, there's some more reality, more that we're seeing. There's more breaking down of structure, the dark night of the soul. We start to break down what we perceive is to be reality. So we're moving out of physicality and of separation into this sort of deconstruction phase of the fourth dimension, you could call it. That's how I sort of see it in my mind, almost like a bridge to then take us into the fifth dimensional bandwidth of consciousness. As you raise into that, you start then tapping into more of a sense of oneness, bringing those fragmentations of soul, connection to others, connection to nature, bugs, butterflies. And you really start to have that sort of layer of understanding as you're going upwards, that sense of connection around you. And these are the times that we start to bring in our gifts, start to have maybe our mission within our mind, these sort of cycles of, okay, why am I here? Why am I here? So the more inner work you do, the more you rise, and then the more you can break through the next layer of the frequency. And so as we move up, we can anchor into higher levels of consciousness, but still tap down into lower fields of energy to release it. So we have to come back down again to release the emotional state down here in a lower frequency. So you'll feel naturally that you'll go down a level as such, but you have to clear that deep core wound, that energy.
Sometimes that's uncomfortable. I get it in my gut, like, oh, it's anxiety in my gut. It's like, take it back.
Yeah. It's so nice and beautifully easy to exist up here because it's bliss, 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 light, light, light. In yourself, you're like, oh my God, I feel amazing. But then when you have to go down, it feels uncomfortable and sticky and gritty and smoky. But then you come back up again, but then you can go higher. So you have to go lower to go higher. And these deep core wounds is where everything starts from. These deep core wounds is where you can go to, where is the origin of this emotion? Where did it start off with? Does it come from? And it's not just in this incarnate, which normally happens in our childhood. It's like we say, is through all time and space. We're looking at incarnations, ancestral lines. Is there a cycle that we need to break? Is there a karmic cycle? Is there an ancestral line? Is there cause and contract through all time and space? What is it that keeps pulling us back into a cycle of experience? Once you get to what is it that keeps making me come back here, then we can release that. That's the point. But it's not the experience. This is what we need to know. It's not the experience, because we experience all different things. It's the emotion that is connected to the experience. You can't go and change the experience. The experience has happened. But there's a connection between the experience and the energetic frequency of the emotional state. And that's the distortion. That is where you clear it within your energetic field. You disconnect from the emotional state of the experience, not the experience itself. Then that's where you then come into, sort of gratitude and forgiveness, observation, neutrality, because you've disconnected the emotional state. The emotional state is what you actually came here to experience. The experiences gave you the emotions. So if you disconnect from the emotions, then you don't worry about the experience, because the experience has just been and gone in the past now moment.
Yeah.
Talking about that from a lower vibrational information, from a mind concept of emotional states, probably will trigger you. But as you sort of raise in your vibration, you actually get to know the understanding why you experienced it, because that gave you the emotional state, which was why you came here to experience. So it's this sort of understanding and unpacking for the mind to realize and conceptualize what is it that we're going through, so we can easier let go of it. But it becomes easier as you go on your journey, as you know, Lisa.
Yes, absolutely. And when we come out of these states of amnesia, that's what it is. It's just so eye-opening, and it just feels so great to be in your power and to have your sovereignty and the control over your own life and your own thoughts. And, you know, like you said, we're starting to, you know, realize that, because we're in this amnesia, and with these energies coming through, they're allowing us to raise our states of consciousness, to assist us in the crystalline upgrades. And yes, it can get uncomfortable. And like we were talking about with the oneness and grounding, you know, there's fear going on, and everybody's aware of that in the world, or whatever's going on. And to be able to do these techniques of, you know, the grounding and, you know, things that Nicola shares, and she'll share a little bit more on her sessions, and with myself, to keep our states of consciousness higher no matter what's going on, you know. So instead of, you know, feeling that fear or, you know, the uncomfortability, is to let yourself, like you said, you know, to feel it, you know, let go of the emotional state by grounding and raising what you need to do with all the techniques that I've spoken about on the live that we do here, you know. And as we, you know, can raise that vibration, it creates an effect on the whole planet. You know, Gaia herself and everybody else. It takes one little person to have that higher vibration that changes many in the world. And, you know, we're about, you know, now it's to stand up into that unity consciousness, right? And, you know, and have that, you know, that tribe of humans that are ready to, you know, live in our sovereignty and power, and say no, right?
Well, yeah, absolutely. And I think this is what we need to also understand, is that energy goes where we are focusing. So if we're focusing on the fear, which is very prevalent in the collective, we can tap into that, and we can focus within that, and that then becomes our reality. So wherever we're focusing will become our reality. So we can make a conscious decision of focusing into the cultivation of our light. So as we move through our cycles of understanding and clearing with our energy work and letting go of the emotions, if we actually then shine our light to our highest degree of you know, of our capabilities, with that conscious mind of focusing on that into what I call the New World template, which is about focusing into that new world. How are we going to create that? Why are we going to do that? What is it that we're going to do to actually bring that into our reality? If we focus on that direction, it then lets go of this a lot easier as well. Because if we're focusing on the old paradigm of what's going on in the reality, we're going to actually then sort of perpetuate that cycle of all that, keep re-entering into our creation of our world. But if we say, okay, so I've had enough of that, I've experienced that, thank you very much, universe, for keep showing me that. I've had enough of actually experiencing that, and now I'm going to move forward and hook into that fifth dimension, pull the fifth dimension into my reality and experience it in my now moment. When you're doing that, your world starts to change, because you're focusing in a different direction. You're moving up into frequency in here. It's not that you don't care what's happening this side. It's that we're pulling ourselves into the new reality. We're anchoring into the New World template and creating a new reality. If we're focusing over there, we're just going to keep experiencing what's over there. So the movement from the old world into the new world is our decision on where we're focusing it. So keep cultivating your light, shining your light more, moving through your distortions, but anchoring it in this direction, which is the sovereignty, unity, that field of consciousness. That will enable you to then move forward on with the journey. And then everything then starts to really change, and you start manifesting different things, and it's more instant. You know, the energy at the moment, October, is massive for instant manifestation. It's crazy the what's going on up there at the moment with the zzz in the ear roll and the, you know, all of that that's going on. It's you know, it's, we're being so assisted from higher levels of consciousness.
Yes. And it's in, you know, we were just saying, you know, instant manifestations, but the release is also very fast too. So
Yes.
when, you know, when things, you started talking in the beginning about things that are coming up with the distortions to look at and release, dark night of the soul. You know, once we have the courage to look at it, what's happening right now, like you were saying with these energies in October, the release of it is extremely fast, right? So the bliss is right here.
Yeah, absolutely. October's all about finishing off old cycles and really coming into new beginnings.
I absolutely know that.
Absolutely. Totally. It's the finishing off, the tidying up, the tying off things. Like, okay, do I want that? No. Okay, tie it up and off it goes. Do we want this? No. Okay. Well, do you want this? Yes. Okay, let's move that forward and create a bigger expansive understanding of that you want to keep. So as well as actually having these new beginnings, the other thing that I really want to say is, what do you want? What do you want to be in your reality for your new world? So we need to make those decisions also. So I'm really getting bombarded by my guidance of, okay, so what is it that you want, Nicola? Because if we don't know what we want, how are they going to bring the synchronicities in? So it's all good. We let go of all of this that no longer serves. But what do we want? What is it that we want to then actually then move us into creating what we want? So that's a really biggie for a lot of people, is to actually decide what actually we want in the first place to create for the new world. Yeah. So that's an interesting concept in itself and another conversation, I'm sure.
Yeah, it is. And I find that we've always been suppressed. So a lot of us don't know what we want. We're so used to do this, and you just grow up, and then you get married, and then you can work 9 to 5 and blah, blah, blah. But who am I? So, you know, and I'm sure, you know, with you too, the people I'm talking to, they don't know what they want to do. But what I did notice is that there are many people reaching out to me that they want to do something else. They don't know what it is, but they feel like they want to do something else. You know, they're a little bit bored of what they're doing. And so things are starting to shift. You know, where, you know, what you do, you know, what I do, but you do so awesomely to assist people to move into that. So before we close, and you do, because I'm so blessed for you to do a light language channeling for us. But before that, can you just, you know, say where we can reach you and what you know?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So I have a YouTube channel, which is called Remembrance Into the Light. It was actually given to me by my guides. I was like, oh, it sounds a bit twee. But no, they're like, no, it's about remembering who you are and you're going into your light. So it's Remembrance Into Your Light with Nicola Russell. And I have my own website, which is reikirussell.co.uk. And I also have courses which will be really useful for people if you want to check that out, which is starseedu.com. I'm just trying to think what it is. Sorry, my mind's gone. starseedu.com. So courses on there. Sorry, I think they're starting to come in. So I start losing the linear language. So I've got online courses on there, and there's one in particular which is the Understanding Light Language course, which was channeled, which has helped so many people. It's just really very lovely if you started to really sort of get to understand that, or if you're not too sure about language, light language, it gives you the sort of foundational information of understanding light language. So that's a little course on Starseed U.
Awesome, because I've noticed that light language has come in for a lot of people for years, and they just never knew what it was, and they suppressed it because they're not sure. It could be like, and it's like, so they kind of suppressed it, but it's there, and now they're starting to live into their gifts.
Yeah, fabulous. And so many children are speaking light language, and we tend to sort of say, oh, stop talking that gobbledygook and that silly language. What, you know, this is how we speak. We speak our English or whatever language we're going to speak, but we suppress our children by not allowing them to express their light. So you know, if you've got children that are speaking this little dialect that you're not too sure about, just embrace it, allow them to express it. It's an expression of the soul. It's purity of light, the expression. So it's a beautiful thing to experience. It just flows from you, doesn't it, Lisa?
It absolutely does.
Yeah, beautiful. Very, very clear.
Your thing, Nicola.
Okay, let me just check in and see what my inner guidance wants to come through, sort of codes. So just receive these codes, and there's always going to be for the greater good. So it's always important to set those intentions to allow you to receive it from the highest understanding. So we're going to let go of anything. If there's anything comes forward, just let go of anything that no longer serves you, and then we're just moving you through and see if there's any activation. So I tend to close my eyes because I get downloads come in, which sort of come in. You might sort of see it in my eye flashes. Yeah. Okay. So if any dialects come through, just observe them as they come through. And use your breath to sort of really connect between the energetic field and the physical realm, the physical body, just to let it all go. Okay, thank you. La mare siena mare sine chiata ura stichianto coro shukiodora shi and a machioturo shakianda bagrana bokura shana kiana. So just really sort of just tap into your breath. It is the surrender of the physical body that allows you to express to a greater degree da yamabaris yumakia siena avresikit antogoroshu makiatan elakiam bogrosha kianta tadashikiat elamaris yukumo krosha dantogracia elakienta avisin moris kiantogorosh anamaris kieturushu orokuru makiata kiamagrasi kenemakia ba poragedeki kiama bruhi alakiana torosho bagiena So yeah, so the main point of that particular transmission is to say to everybody is that you are not your physical body, you are more than that. So it is the upgrading of the understanding of that and allowing the physical body to be and to express and let go of as we store much of the emotions within the physical body. So it's letting go of the physical body, allowing it to express. It's the expression rather than suppression of emotional states.
I love that. When you were speaking, I knew exactly what my soul knew exactly what you were saying. And I was nodding my head. And when you started to laugh, I already started because, intellectually, I didn't know what you meant, but I understood, and you do your channelings that I see, it's like I feel my connection going to you like this, like I'm reaching out to you, and I understand exactly what you're saying. See, it's just I got goosebumps head to toe. This is just so wonderful, and we're moving into such great times and such bliss, in just being in your own bubble, creating that sovereignty for yourself and learning to let go, and create the world that you desire to be in. That it's about.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Lisa. Yeah, it's been my pleasure being here, and I hope that I just reach at least one person, and if so, I've done my job. So just can keep going and just know that it all works out for your greater good, regardless of what's occurring in your now moment. It always works out for your greater good, and that was something that really stuck with me on the beginning of my journey. When I went through that breaking down of my old life into what I'm now creating my new life to be. So just know that it all comes out in the end. It all works out. So it's important to know that.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much, Nicola. You're so lovely. I appreciate you so much. Here.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you. So bye, everybody. Have a great week. And thank you, Nicola. I'll see you soon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.